Thank you so much, Deepak, for coming tonight, and I'm really looking forward to your conversation with Orion about building a FinTech business. It's fascinating, I'm sure, your experience. And I know that you've worked with a lot of startups in the Bay Area, and just so fabulous that you give of your time like that. And I'm just wondering what you see coming as far as the FinTech area that really interests you.
Yeah, I mean, right now in technology in general, blockchain is definitely on top.
Right.
And people are using different technology with blockchain itself. But in terms of, lending spaces probably has been done, but there's still some innovation left in lending in general. And our next guest is actually going to talk a little bit about that as well. So, I mean, it's just how to use the technology. The biggest issues, I think, what we're having in FinTech in general is, it's very fragmented. There's a lot of things that are going on in FinTech, but people haven't been able to kind of put a story together and say, how do we disrupt? And in a broader word, regulations, the banks and stuff like that. So it's like, how do we actually go after a space and make an impact on it, whether it's payments or insurance or anything. So that's yet to be determined.
And of course, in FinTech, you mentioned regulations, and obviously that's a bit of a hurdle for both for investors, some investors and some startups. How do you see resolving that, or what are the main criteria that a startup would need to be able to face that barrage of regulations that they're going to have to go through?
Well, unfortunately, I don't see the regulations going away. So if they're not going away, the startups have to be, smart enough or canny enough that if they figured out a model where they are coming directly to the customers and the customers want it, and how they actually work with the regulation to get whatever technology changes they're trying to bring to the customers, eventually it will help change some of the regulations. So it's going to be, how do we actually address those customers and what's their pain point? Whether it's FinTech or any other vertical, we always want to see what are the pain points, and how do we make it easier on the customer.
And some investors are pretty experienced with the whole regulation thing and go where angels fear to tread. But a lot of investors are a bit wary of regulations, and so they tend to avoid it. How do you think in the Bay Area, how does it work? Do you think there's a lot of investors that is going to steer clear of FinTech, or or embrace it?
Right. There are firms, my old firm, for example, they're raising new funds in FinTech focused only.
Fabulous.
So I think there are VCs out there, even in the Bay Area, that see the opportunity in FinTech.
Great.
So it's not that the FinTech is going to disappear, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I think the VC who understands regulation and is coming from whether it's lending or banking or whatever space can actually see, okay, I can see the need to it. My bank, whether, for example, Scale Venture Partners started out with Bank of America, as their LP, and they spun off, they're doing other things. But even if you look at Norwest Partner, that's still part of Wells Fargo. That's a single LP. You look at Propel VC, that's part of BBVA, that's spun out of that. So there are banks that understand, okay, innovation needs to take place, and due to the laws and the regulations that have been passed over the past 5-6 years, they're trying to address, okay, how do we stay ahead in innovation? Whether we spin it out and create a separate entity to actually look for these deals. So.
When a startup or a founder comes to you, what do you usually look for, whether in FinTech or any other domain? Because I know you have a few domains that you're juggling.
Right.
What's the main thing that's going to grab you if an entrepreneur is going to approach you?
Ideas are a dime a dozen. There's so many great ideas out there, and people hold on to IP. People say this, but in Silicon Valley, I'm not saying IP doesn't have value, because it does.
Yeah.
But the most important thing that I personally look for are two things: is the team. and a very strong team.
Okay.
But more than even just the team, it's the execution.
Okay.
What have you done historically, and how fast have you gotten there? Because you look at companies such as Facebook or whatever. I mean, there were 299 other companies before Facebook doing the exact same thing Facebook was. But why did Facebook take off? They took off not just the team, but the execution, what they were going after, how they were going after. So if somebody else is already in the space doing whatever you're trying to do, I tell my companies it doesn't mean you don't do it. Figure out how you can do it better and faster.
Great. And just one last question. What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you when someone's brought a startup to you, or a founder's come to you for advice, or wants investment? Can you remember some really funny incident that you could share with us?
Well, one was that an investor pitched to me about 6 months ago, and he didn't remember pitching to me. And he tried to pitch me the exact same thing. The funny part was that in 6 months, nothing really changed. So he didn't make any progress. So I felt like, okay, you pitched to me, and he was kind of adamant he hadn't.
So
but
an entrepreneur had done this?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I'm like, I understand, even if you haven't pitched to me, I get it. What have you done in the past 6 months? What are the changes? Or just tell me historically what you've done. Because that's what will get an investor excited.
He must have been pretty shamefaced when you told him that he'd pitched to you 6 months before and he couldn't remember.
I guess he must have pitched to many people. I was one of many. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So. Look, thanks again. It's been absolutely delightful talking to you, and I'm really looking forward to the talk tonight.
Thank you.
You.
Yep.